Those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. This is Success with Srini.
Welcome back. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for listening in. I'm starting the podcast today by saying good evening because I just wrapped up my radio show. It's exactly 7:34 p.m. here in California on the July 12th, 2022. Just wrapped up my radio show, and on my radio show, I was, telling people to call in, all the listeners to call in, but nobody called in. And I left the show thinking, wow, okay, nobody called. Maybe nobody's listening. But then turns out that Rakesh called in and he was holding the line. I couldn't see, so I could not punch the line or I could not put him on air. But Rakesh was nice enough to text me and he has a genuine question. He says, I've been dealing with self-doubt for a while, and you specifically said since COVID, everything has come up and everything has opened up, and it is demanding a different kind of behavior from all of us. For about 2 years, we were all hiding in the houses, but then now it is challenging a different side of us. These days, my self-doubt has gone up even more. Maybe I also have some limiting thoughts, I'm not sure. I have been into self-improvement for a while. I heard your show for the very first time. What do you suggest I do? Incredible question, long question. Thank you, Rakesh, for your trust. There are many ways to overcome self-doubt. I have tested a few on myself personally, and through all my hypnosis and through my hypnotherapy practice and working with people, different approaches I have taken. Overall, there are a few things. The first and the foremost thing is to acknowledge that you have self-doubt, which I think you have done, and you have done very elegantly. You have given your background, you have shared what you are doing and what you are going through, and you have acknowledged, in fact, you called in to acknowledge this on air, which is commendable. So, the first thing, most people don't do this, and this is exactly where they fail. So, you have acknowledged. The second thing is to find the origin of this feeling, this doubt. When did it start? Why you think it started? What was the mental state when this started? And what was your social equation when this started? So there are a few questions you have to answer, but you need to find the origin of this. You may do many other things, but you never get to the solution part unless the origins are identified, and sometimes these problems have to be resolved at the source. So you go to therapy and all, you can tell the therapist that you have done the work and these are all the findings you have, and they can take those findings and can create a proper suggestion or can take a path that is going to resolve it, and they can take you back, regress you, take you to the back and solve the problem at the source. So you got to find the origin, and you have to do that consciously. So take a pen, take a paper, sit down and keep pondering where this self-doubt started. The third step is that you talk to someone. And I'm not saying go talk to somebody who is a professional yet, but talk to someone who maybe somebody who's parallel to you, somebody who is similar to you, somebody who goes through identical situations like you do, maybe at a career front. I do not know where you have the self-doubt specifically, but somebody who is identical to you, maybe a friend of yours. So talk to them. I want you to remove this emotion out of you and talk to them. I think you have done that through the text message to me, but having a talk is very powerful. So start talking to somebody. In fact, talk to somebody who's outside of you, but then also talk to yourself. Ask, this is happening. What can I do to deal with? And just have an internal dialogue with yourself. A good therapist can instill a good internal dialogue. So when you do see a therapist, which I don't think if you can resolve it yourself, you don't need to meet anyone. One of the traits of a good therapist is they can instill a good dialogue into you. So it's a very important part. Most people don't know this, but that is a trait that you need to see in therapists if you do decide to go the therapist route. So a self-talk and also an outside talk. Outside talk should be with a friend or somebody who is parallel or lateral or equal to you. But then if you go beyond that, maybe a therapist. Then the next step is to write down your doubts. So in the second step, I said write down the origin of the doubt, but then write the doubt itself. The reason why we do that, there is a difference between these two steps. The reason why we write the doubt is when you are talking about origins, you are kind of doing exploration. Why this is happening to me? Where did this start? So kind of doing investigative, like you are investigative, you're doing an investigation. But then when you write the doubt, writing a doubt means that, hey, I have the doubt. What is my goal to overcome this doubt? So it's kind of a more progressive rather than investigative. Okay, so write the doubt and start writing down what all can you do to overcome this doubt. What do I study? Who do I talk to? What kind of data elements I need to collect so that I have enough proof to prove myself, that, hey, this is a doubt, this has no substance to it, this has no standing, and I have a better, understanding of this, something like that. So you write so that you can set goals. And then the next step is that you challenge the doubt. So if you do all the 4 steps properly, then the 5th step is to challenge the doubt. Now, all these steps are to increase your strength, is to increase your ability to deal with this. I'm not saying that you only have one self-doubt. I meet people who have many doubts about themselves. Overall, they say I have a self-doubt, but there are so many doubts. And majority of the doubts come from either misdirected thinking or maybe some reference that is existing in the unconscious mind, or maybe they lack exploration. So they just lack information. So you educate yourself out of this. That's the message that I have for you. And one thing also is that overall, if you do this, your self-confidence should go up. So the antidote to self-doubt is self-confidence. So you got to do whatever you have to do to raise your self-confidence. And maybe you don't need to think about the doubts at all that you have and simply focus on raising your self-confidence. When you do that, it may completely eclipse all the doubts you have about yourself. I see people increasing their self-confidence, engaging in activities that raise their confidence. Sometimes I see people who, in the pursuit to overcome self-doubt, they raise their self-confidence to such a level that they become arrogant. So be careful. There's a thin line between self-confidence, a heightened self-confidence, and arrogance. So you got to be very careful with that. That's all. That's how I would, a quick question from you, a quick answer as I'm recording this. These are some things that I will try. Let me know if this is helpful. If you have a question beyond, after listening to this, you have a question, text me back. And if I need to expand this answer, then I will expand this. But as I texted you back, this podcast is going to go live tomorrow, which is the July 13th, Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. This podcast is going to go live. So I'm going to work tonight to make sure that this is all production ready and it goes live. But then once this is live, I'm going to send the link to you. But thank you for listening to the radio show. Appreciate you being a listener. Thank you for the question. Appreciate the trust. And everybody else who is listening to this podcast, thank you for being a listener, a subscriber. And if you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to this on a podcasting app, there is a place there for you to write a review, rate the podcast, and all that. That's all for now. Wherever you are, be safe, and I'll be with you as early as day after tomorrow as I'm recording this, but tomorrow for you if you're listening to this. Okay, take care. Bye now.